This happened about 2 weeks ago, and I am still trying to wrap my head around the fact it actually happened to this day. I, a 29-year-old male, rent a room in a house with 6 other people. They are all couples, so there are 2 per room, except for me, since I am the only single one here. Only I and 1 other person are on the official lease, while the others are month-to-month rent. Remember this, I have lived here for nearly 5 years since it is close to my work, and the location is perfect since everything I need from the grocery store to 7-Eleven and a few fast food places are within walking distance. But a bit over 2 years ago, my love for this house started to wane a bit. The entitled wife, and husband, the entitled father, moved in, and when they did, they were warned that in 6 months we would all be moving out. Since our landlord was going to tear down the house to build 2 new ones given the backyard is fairly large and just empty, so why not build a new house? See, that was the plan, but the landlord extended our lease for another year, which I was happy about, and they stayed as well. This is when the problems started. The entitled mother and entitled father are both very racist. I know this because the walls in this house are thinner than they think, and so I can hear the very racist things they say about me. I am mixed with a white mother and black father. They leave messes everywhere and expect everyone, mostly me, in the house to clean up after them. They take our food without permission, and when we make such a big deal about it, they will get a cheap replacement of some sort, like non-name brand stuff that is on sale. They whine and complain about everything. Mostly me, though, since, in their own words, they consider me the living help. Their actual words about me behind my back. To them, I was meant to cater to their every want and desire because I am colored. Now, I won't go into detail, but I got into a heated argument with the entitled father and some very racist comments were said to me by him. So I called the landlord and tried to have them evicted since, at this point, we had all had enough. Apparently, dropping the N-bomb was the final straw. Everything was going smoothly. The landlord gave them a 30-day notice and all should have been well. But then the pandemic hit us. As many people in the States are aware, there was, and for a lot of states still is, a moratorium that makes it so you can't evict people. So cue the entitled mother and entitled father being even bigger jerks than they were at first. If what they did before was a 1 on a scale of 10, now they were at least a 7.5. Their own daughter, who thankfully wasn't like them at all, would apologize to us in secret since she knows how her parents are. Every day was an argument of some sort or some nonsense they did to try and get a rise out of me, to get me to act like the savage beast I was, as they said again and again to my face. Yet no matter what, we couldn't evict them because of the stupid moratorium, and they knew this. But after so long, the news that it was ending reached our ears, and oh, did I celebrate in my head. But little did I know that things wouldn't go so smoothly. The rule of the house during quarantine was no guests of any sort, since there are already 7 people here and 2 of them are immune compromised. I think that is the term used, with one of them unable to get the vaccine due to health issues. Yet, guess who blatantly disregarded that one simple rule? If you guessed the entitled mother or entitled father, then you get a cookie with lunch since you hit the nail on the head. The 2 people they ever brought were their daughter, who after we asked her nicely to stop, she did since she understood the situation. The other was their 18-year-old nephew, who we'll call entitled teen. Can't call him a kid at that age. I used to have my big screen TV as well as my PS5 in the living room so as to play games there, since my room is a bit cramped with my computer in bed as well as my dresser. Plus, the internet router is out there so I can connect my PS5 to the Ethernet cord, so it was the optimal place. I had to move my stuff to my room, though, since one day when I got back home from work, I saw this entitled teen on my system playing Call of Duty without my permission, and what made it worse was that it was my profile. To the gamers out there, you know how big of an issue that is when it comes to multiplayer games. Not too long after that happened, I had to get a lock for my own door since the little jerk went into my room and played it in there without my permission. And when I told the entitled parents to keep him out of my room, they had the audacity to tell me, "Your people don't deserve to live with a roof over your head. And why do you care if he plays the system? You stole it anyway, so you have no more right to it than he does." For those wondering, I bought my PS5 via the Sony store since I was lucky enough to be one of the select people who could pre-order it online. Got it day one and everything. See, this made me so angry and I wanted to do something about this. So what I did was take a personal day off from work the next time I heard he was coming to visit. I didn't leave my room, didn't make a sound as I read things on my Kindle. I went so far as to pee in a bottle so as to not leave my room. And just as I suspected, this entitled teen lock picked my door to get to my PS5. The second he opened my door, I punched this little jerk in the face hard enough to chip his tooth. I'm surprised they didn't call the cops on me for this, but you know what? I don't really care since I was in the right. But here is the main part of this story. A while back, one of our old housemates, one who works for a security camera setup company, had a crazy ex-girlfriend who broke into our house. Out of fear, he installed 2 cameras in the house. One is clearly visible, but it is in the living room only and everyone knows it is there since it is easily visible. The second one, though, is hidden in the living room and only activates if the first one is tampered with in some fashion. That housemate has moved out, but the cameras are still there with me, being the one with the monitor and equipment to use it. No one in the house other than me knows about the second one, though, since I saw the guy install it. So far, it has never been activated, and I was told if it does, then he would get a notification about it as well as a live feed to see why. Remember this. We have let the entitled parents know that their days here are numbered since the moment we were kicking them out. They weren't happy about this, and the entitled mother took it upon herself to try and annoy me one final time, as well as screw me over. So I was at work, in the middle of my shift, in fact. Right after I clock back in from lunch, my old roommate calls me and tells me that the secondary camera has been activated. He told me that there were several people in our house right then stealing everything from our home. So I rushed to my boss, told him the situation, and clocked out early to get home. Luckily for me, I live about 15 minutes away from my house, so it didn't take long. My old roommate had called the police who were there, but this entitled mother was about 2 seconds away from talking her way out of it and leaving with all our stuff. I blocked the driveway with my truck so they could not leave in either of the 2 big vans they had brought. I told the police that they had stolen the majority of the stuff that was in the van, but the entitled mother told the officer that she was moving out and that it was hers. I had to literally go through 7 years' worth of Amazon receipts via the website to show the officer that she was lying, and you could see the color of her face whiten. The other housemates all began to arrive as well since I told them what had happened, and they all pointed out the stuff she had stolen from us. Long story short, she, along with her associates, who had helped her rob our house, were arrested, and I spent the second half of the day moving back into my own house. I was sent the video later, which, regrettably, I don't have anymore since I didn't need it, of her letting the guys into our house. And one of the men who came in was her nephew. This jerk had kicked in my door and took my PS5. That was the first thing he took. The things they stole were ridiculous. They took literally everything, from the appliances to the silverware. They took my clothes, my various knickknacks that had no monetary value whatsoever, just good memories that went with them, and they took them anyway, just so I couldn't have it anymore. The silver lining to this story, though. The entitled parents have finally been evicted from our house. My long-distance boyfriend and I are both into fitness, and I needed new workout shoes, so he bought me Nikes as a gift. My mom saw and she got mad that he was spending money on me instead of saving for the future. She tells me I have too much stuff to bring when I move out in a few months. I'm moving internationally, hence the luggage limit. She says to me, "You already have so many shoes and stuff to bring. You can just give me the Nikes." Oh, absolutely no. She thinks she can have my Nikes from my boyfriend. No way. She can have any one of my shoes except those Nikes. Honestly, I think she's just jealous because no one bought her a gift like that. Even my father never bought her such gifts. Still doesn't justify her thinking I should give her my Nikes. She even told off my boyfriend for buying me such a gift. Good Lord. I am a 15-year-old male that spends a lot of time on my computer. I recently came home from a long trip. I woke up this morning and started cleaning my house when my mom told me to. As I was cleaning, her boyfriend called my name to go into her room. He said, "Unhook the computer from the wall." I started to argue and said, "Why? I haven't done anything wrong." My mom starts yelling that she shouldn't be telling me to clean the whole house and that I should do it without being told. She also stated that I go to sleep way too late and that I should be going to sleep at 8. I found this ridiculous since I shut everything off at 9 and go to bed at 10 because I know the consequences of sleeping way too late. And it's always been that she tells me what she wants to be cleaned for the day. I ended up listening to her and giving her the PC until I found out her boyfriend was gonna take it with him to his house. I was against this because he took my PlayStation and it ended up being lost. I didn't want the same thing happening to my computer. But I had to obey her anyway because she started to cry for some reason. I don't know if I am in the right to be angry over this. And she's done similar stuff like this also, like breaking my electronics. I just needed somewhere to vent because I don't know where else to do it. I was working at a gas station about 20 years ago. One evening, this lady comes in, dumps like 5 or 6 handfuls of pennies on the counter, and states her preferred brand. Ordinarily, our cashiers would just tell someone to get lost if they were trying this, but I was pretty chill at the time and I had nothing to do but run the register and stuff my face with food from the daily case, so cue malicious compliance. I just said, "Okay, but I'll have to take other customers. I'll count this between." She objects. "It's all there. I counted it already." I reply, "If my drawer comes up wrong, I'll get in trouble. I have to count it. Sorry." She starts stomping around the store all mad, throwing her arms around, etc. I would later come to recognize this as tweaker behavior, and I start counting, meticulously setting the pennies aside in stacks of 10 and pausing every time a customer comes in, all the while this lady is acting like she's been stabbed through the hand. Maybe half a dozen customers and 10 minutes later I'm nearing the end of the pile. She's still standing by the door, getting more and more impatient, whining at everyone who comes through. I was giving the other customers priority, so they didn't care, of course. Anyway, I finished counting and she's short, maybe 15 cents. Who could remember? It was fairly common for people to raid the penny dish to cover the cost of a pack of cigarettes they couldn't quite afford, and this was generally a loud, small town, and after all, who even cares? But she promised me it was all there, and I got a bit of a bug up me about it, so I took the overflowing free penny dish and moved it behind the counter before calling her over. "You're X cents short." Can't I just cover it from the dish? Where is it? What dish? There's a dish. There's always a dish. You took it away. I give her a puzzled look, wave my hands over the counter. There's no dish. I don't know what you're talking about. She is incensed and cusses me out for a while. I just shrugged it off. She left without her cigarettes, of course. My boss came over afterward and told me I didn't have to count those or even take them. Dude, did not get me at all, but I just played it straight and was like, "Oh, okay."